I had to do that in between. Right. Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who I think you should know about. Now, usually most guests are referred by other guests, but this was kind of a fun story. So I was doing my show, and if you watch from YouTube, you know that's where all the action is. Of course, we stream this to Facebook, but you gotta watch it on YouTube because that's where the chat is and the Zoomunity. And somebody answered a question in the chat, and the name said vegan primary care. And I'm like, what's that? And it turns out there is a vegan doctor named Dr. Scott Harrington who has a virtual practice, and we're going to meet him and he's going to tell us all about it. But the world needs more vegan doctors, let me tell you. And he's, I believe, certified in almost every state of the United States. So let's welcome him to the show. Hi, Dr. Harrington. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hi, thanks, Chef AJ. I'm really honored to be here. This is really a big honor for me. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure. So how come the world hasn't heard about you? Who are you and where the heck did you come from?
Well, hey, I'm trying to get the word out. Yeah. My vegan practice, vegan primary care, is a year old. So, we're getting out there, and but my vegan story started in 2012 when I saw Forks Over Knives, and I was immediately amazed. I saw Dr. Furman taking people off all their meds, and I said, I'm a family doctor. He's a family doctor. I could do that too, right? So I've been vegan since then, and I got to create my practice, Vegan Primary Care, when COVID was happening and people were willing to do telemedicine. So I decided I'm just going to reach out straight to vegans because it's easier when you've heard the message. It's easier instead of having to explain everything about the plant-based diet. I'm already your advocate for someone that birds of a feather.
I just think it's fantastic that there are so many now, because I mean, when I think about, I've been vegan for almost 45 years, there wasn't any. Well, maybe there was Dr. Goldhammer and Dr. McDougall 45 years ago, but it wasn't like they were really practicing, the way that you guys are now, certainly virtually. And, it's interesting that you mentioned Forks Over Knives, because a lot of people saw that movie. A lot of physicians will read the China study. And some of them, like you, just say, this makes sense and I'm going to do it. But a lot of doctors don't think that way.
I know it's frustrating. You'd think, like Dr. Williams says, there's cardiologists who are vegan, and then there's those who haven't read the data, so I really feel like one day all doctors will be vegan, we hope, until then, get a vegan doctor. But people with the nutrition thing, they just, it's like a cognitive dissonance. They won't really, it's like they hear the information, but it doesn't land squarely. It's like a willful ignorance a lot of times, you think.
Yeah, it doesn't land at all sometimes. And I mean, it goes the opposite way. In other words, like it's one thing if a doctor can't do it or doesn't want to do it, but like a lot of them actually say diet makes no difference. And a lot of these doctors are, believe it or not, oncologists, say, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat.
Oh my gosh. I before I was vegan, I went to my child was constipated, and we took him to a gastroenterologist. And you know what the advice for the gastroenterologist was? He's eating too many apples and bananas because there's pectin in there. It'll constipate him. You shouldn't be doing that. And like looking back, my mind is just exploding. Like, I can't believe it. I'm angry actually that,
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of the doctors I think nutrition matters in all specialties, but especially in GI, they know nothing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You can't assume. That's I guess how my story, why was I ready to hear the message? Well, the thing was, as a family doctor, in the Army, you treat Army families, and you're treating obesity too, because, we're all getting a little bit heavier. And I was gaining weight 1 or 2 pounds a year on the standard American diet. So by the time I was 35, I was 15, 20 pounds overweight. And in the Army, they make you run. So I was, I know I had to lean, I had to get leaner. And so I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my own advice and lose weight. I'm smart. I'm a doctor, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't starve myself down with a standard American diet. And that's why when I saw Forks Over Knives, I was ready to hear the message. I was primed, and it just made total sense. And I immediately switched cold carrot. I switched cold carrot. lost 20 pounds and all my medical problems resolved, a little bit of blood pressure, a little bit of cholesterol, even my, my hormones regulated, constipation improved, acne, all the things. And so then I was sold immediately from that point on.
Well, were you a doctor in the Army, or were you in the Army?
Yes, a doctor in the Army. My story starts with West Point. I was a West Point cadet. They sent me from there to osteopathic medical school, Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. And from there, I went and became a family doctor at Fort Bragg. And they sent me all over to I've been to Afghanistan for over 27 months. And I've had a long career in the Army, and I'm still in the Army. Now I'm in the Army Reserves. And so I'm still serving.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Now tell me a little bit about what kind of food they serve in the Army, because that's very interesting to me.
Well, it's impressive. It's impressive because they actually have a very good food program in the Army. I cannot throw any shade in that direction. I mean, it's very robust. I mean, your Army runs on nutrition, right? So of course they offer meat and cheese, and but they have meals ready to eat, and the meals ready to eat are loaded with calories, and you have them in this. You can eat them anywhere you are, and so there are very few vegan meals ready to eat, but I think there are some now. And back in the day, they had mostly vegetarian, so they had cheese, but you could always eat the sides inside the packaged food. And the Army works really well to try to eat for soldiers who are forward deployed in the middle of nowhere. They will bring fresh fruits and vegetables out to them. And so I've got the logistics and all that stuff. I mean, it's very impressive.
So it is possible to be vegan in the Army?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But what about like healthy, no oil vegan, or SOS free vegan? Probably not.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to, I mean, there's fresh fruits and vegetables anywhere you go. All the mess halls, they have lots of, I love it when I actually go on a military post and I get a chance. I mean, because I just, just like you have to be smart. You have to eat the side dishes and eat around. You can get a big salad. It's that will, you can add beans. And so if you have a big main meal, these dishes that they produce cafeteria style, a lot of times they will be standard American with a lot, oil and stuff. But you just got to be smart, and you can totally do it in the Army.
Well, is it different like in Afghanistan, the food though?
Believe it or not, if you're in a hardened facility, like there are hubs. There are hubs like that have airstrips, and huge planes are coming down every day with food, fresh food, and that's part of it, the produce. And they offer it because they know how important it is. So they have it available, even in places like back in the day when Afghanistan, those big forward operating bases, they had it available.
Wow, that is so cool. Do you know Sergeant Vegan?
I've seen Sergeant Vegan. I've seen on the internet. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's not a lot of vegans in the Army.
Right. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, here I am in 2012. I'm going vegan, and meanwhile, I was serving a lot of like elite soldiers and their families, and it's kind of why I'm glad Game Changers came out, because it's kind of like the macho thing, about how we got to eat a lot of meat and eat a lot of protein, and so you can imagine Dr. Harrington being like, "Okay, guys, yep. I don't recommend any meat and cheese," and you can imagine how that went over with them. But a lot of these elite soldiers are really interested in performance, and if you're leading the way and they see that you're having a success, that's how you get them. I like to be a doctor that's leading the charge, just like in the Army. You don't say do as I say. You have to see the leading by example, and that's what I try to do. I try to be a picture of health as best I can.
Do you think that there might be more interest in the armed forces for a plant-based diet at some point?
Well, I mean, things are changing. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the American College of Cardiology, put out recent recommendations about that your protein should mostly come from plants, and things are changing. Things are changing slowly. I mean, you've seen it, and so the way they do the Army physical fitness test has changed. That's changed. And so now the CrossFit sort of community has sort of worked their way into the, so now the physical fitness testers are slinging balls and holding Olympic weights and stuff. And so, the two communities that are most vocal are the CrossFit community and the vegan community. Get those two together. I mean, there's synergy right there.
Yeah, if they can only meet. Do people have to make a certain weight to be in any of the branches of the armed forces? And do they monitor that like as they are already members?
Yes, there are height and weight requirements. And so that is a problem because, a lot of people are busting their height and weight, their weight requirements, and they can't move on. They can't progress. You're supposed to be a picture of health, a picture of fitness. And so that can be detrimental to your career.
I'm curious if they had to loosen them up a bit because with everybody being so much more overweight now.
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of that, or at least they're looking into that. Yeah, absolutely. There's been a little bit of relaxing of some of the physical standards in regards to how COVID has hit. And, they weren't able to give as many of the, get everyone together to do a big physical test and stuff like that. So the Army is always adapting.
Nice. So tell me about your practice and how you started it and where you're able to see patients. Well, you see them everywhere that you're certified or.
Yeah. My practice, I could have called it drscottharrington.com, but knowing what I know, trying to convert patients who are not vegan already can be very difficult. So I decided to call it Vegan Primary Care. And so I'm in over 39 states. And, AJ, I have a little slideshow, if that's okay. I could share
absolutely.
Briefly.
Because, we'd love to know what states. I guess it might be easier to say what states you're not because you're in so many.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to try to share here if this will work out. Let's see. Okay. Boom. Okay. Can you see?
Yep.
All right. So I started this, my vegan practice online because of the COVID pandemic. People were more willing to do online care. And I saw it, there's a lot of negatives about the pandemic, but one positive is that people were willing to adopt this technology. And I just love it because, I don't call a taxi anymore. I go on Uber just because it's really easy. And so with telemedicine, once you do one telemedicine visit, you realize, oh gosh, I don't have to deal with traffic and I don't have, so I really, really enjoy telemedicine. So yeah, as a family doctor, my goal is to provide people with primary care online. And so it's not just like a one-time consultation. It's where I'm actually trying to be your vegan advocate, your vegan doctor. And so I look for long-term relationships, called vegan doctor for life, so that's here's where I am currently licensed is all the green states, and the blue states are related to COVID relaxation, the relaxing of the licenses. But my goal is to get licenses in those states as well, with the goal of all 50 states. So, it changes a little bit, but, it's nice. I could see a patient in Utah or in Washington or in Hawaii, or, it's a lot of fun. I have patients all over the country.
Well, you're in all the good states. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So briefly, real quick, here's my services. They say, well, what can you actually do online? You can't reach through and listen to my heart or something, well, I can order labs. So people in the vegan community, we get a lot of like, oh, you're not getting enough nutrients or something, and well, I'll tell you my feelings on that. I really feel like we're getting plenty of nutrients, but if it's sort of got you worried, you can get some labs through Quest or LabCorp. I can send it to your local lab. Prescriptions, if need be. My goal is I try to avoid medications if possible, if it can be done with a lifestyle change. That's what we're going to do first. Imaging requests, referrals. I offer coaching, and I'll tell you more about that. And we're starting up an employee healthcare program where vegan businesses can reach out to us and we can give them a reduced price for sort of a group package. And so I wanted to mention that vegan primary care, we try to reach out to as many people as we can, and we want to have our patients have access to us. So we are trying to do not just a cash basis, but also through insurance. And so any state that I'm licensed in, I can see patients in Aetna, with Aetna, Cigna, or Medicare, as well as Tricare East. Tricare East. So that has been great. That has been very helpful for our patients. If you want to see me in cash, it's $150 with cash or with an HSA card, and also $75 for a 30-minute appointment. So $150 is 1 hour, $75 is 30 minutes. I am a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and I'm going to be taking the boards here in December. So I'm family medicine board certified, and I recommend lifestyle changes as my first recommendation. So one of the things that we do in our practice is this get to your goal weight loss meeting, or it's just about the whole food plant-based diet journey, trying to get on the whole food plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, or sugar. And every week at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I have a meeting that's free with any of my patients, and they all come in as a group, and we talk about what went right over the week, and I give a little pearl of wisdom, and that's all free.
That's so nice. And where would they see that? On your Facebook page?
Yeah, so this is through, I once they become my patient and they want to go to it, I send them the link. It's a Zoom link, and it's all over Zoom. And then I do have a YouTube and Facebook Live, 12 noon Eastern time, where I do a quick little question and answer period. This little thing is fun. It's a fun app I use called the Ate app, or U8 app. I log all my foods on this app, and people can watch what I eat. And if you share it with me, I can watch what you eat. The problem with this, I wanted to mention it because it was so much fun. It was a big party. I loved it. But now you have to pay for a month if you want to share. But I mention it as a resource because even if you want to do just a free version, you can log your own foods, and it's kind of a good way to help self-monitor what you're eating. This is a great app called Ate app. So basically,
cool. I'd love to know what you eat in a day.
Right. It's just fun, and basically I tell people, hey, get a doctor who gets you, you want to have a vegan doctor. It's been a blessing. People say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I have a vegan doctor. And it's just been so much fun. Our business is a family-owned business. It's just me and my wife, Jennifer, and our dog, Banjo. Our kids aren't pictured here because, for privacy, but you may be talking with Jennifer, who helps with a lot of the admin, and she's a co-founder. And it's just been 1 year. It's been a whirlwind. We have over 400 patients now. And I just kind of want to give an introduction. So thank you for letting me come on here and share about my practice.
That is so cool. What do you have to do to get a board certified in all those states? Do you have to take your boards in all those different states?
No, you do have to apply, and you have to send them wherever you've worked for sometimes the last 5 years or 7 years. It's a really annoying and long process. You have to send a background check with your fingerprints, and you have to get permission from each other state that you have a license in. They have to send a feedback saying that you have not done something bad in another state.
That's interesting. Did your whole family go vegan with you?
My family is vegan-ish. Sometimes I'll catch my kids eating a little bit of non-vegan food, sometimes some cheese and stuff like that. But through the osmosis, basically, my wife and I, how we're cooking, they are very, very close to 100% vegan.
That is great. I love it.
Yeah.
So where do most people find you, and what are most people seeing you for?
People find me on Instagram and on Facebook, and they see me, doing the lives on YouTube and that sort of thing. And they can go on my website, veganprimarycare.com, and they can find out which states that I'm in. And if I'm in the state that they are in, I can be their doctor. The cool thing is, because I'm in so many other states, if they move, I can still be your doctor. So you don't have to change primary care doctors.
That's really neat. Well, I'm so glad that you're doing this. So how does it work virtually? Do people still need their own doctor? Can you prescribe medicine? Or you said you also work as a coach. So who should be coming to see you, Dr. Harrington?
Right. Well, anybody who, I mean, you can do sort of a consult with me if you want to keep your local doctor, so to speak. But there is in the United States, so few people will actually have a primary care doctor. And honestly, like vegans, because we're generally pretty healthy, a lot of times we don't really need to have a vegan doctor. But it's nice to have an advocate. It's nice to have that medical doctor who's there for you. And so if I'm in one of your states, you can just go onto my website, check it out, and you can hit book appointment. And what are my limitations? What are my limitations? Well, I do recommend that females have a local well woman doctor. I think that all well woman care should be provided by females. Sorry, guys. I just think that's better. I think that should just be a thing.
Yeah, I don't know why men can be, I don't mean to be like whatever it is, but I'm not comfortable with male gynecologists.
Right. And so I can refer people to specialists and, there are limitations, but let's talk about when you go to your primary doctor, what ends up happening? One, you get kind of rushed through. Two, they spend all their time tapping away at the computer, and what are they doing? They're entering labs and they're entering your, findings and this sort of thing. And they may send you to a referral, a specialist, and they spend most of their time turned and not even looking at you. And the exam, in sort of a sad story, but the exam is getting less and less, honestly. And so, yeah, we listen to the heart and lungs, and that offers some information, but for the most part, through telemedicine, I get to look at the patient the whole time. I get to, it's very engaging. I get an hour for our first visit. I really get to know people. I get to listen to their story, and I'm not rushing them through. And so this has just been such a good experience, and my patients love it. I get really good reviews. And so if we find that there's something that we need to have them sent to a specialist for, we can do that. In an emergency, people go to emergent care. But even with a regular doctor that you have down the street, they may not have appointments open, and so with me, you can reach out to me and you have access to me just online, just like that, from the comfort of your own home. So there's been a lot. I do have to point out, there is this device called the TytoCare device. The TytoCare device, and it's this device that has a heart and lung recorder, and it can take a picture of your throat and look in your ears, otoscope. I partnered with TytoCare when I first started, and you could listen to the heart and you could do the exam all at home and then send me all the information. And this was really cool because I could do a full exam kind of without being in different states. But people didn't want to buy a second device, and over time, the excitement about it kind of waned. So I'm not partnered with TytoCare right now, but if it becomes a big thing, I will. And I think in the future, these devices will get cheaper and cheaper.
Very cool. Do patients, once they're a patient, do they have access to you? I know, I have a lifestyle medicine doctor, and I have this thing, it's like a My Chart, and you can email them and they get back to you. Not for emergencies. You don't email,
Right. So everybody who becomes a patient gets a portal, and they can send messages back and forth. They can, if they sprain their ankle or something, you can take a picture and put it on, and a lot of things can be done simply through messaging back and forth. And that's kind of the way all medicine is going nowadays. Everyone kind of gets a portal. If we do labs, I send you an analysis, what I write up about how the labs went. And if we need to, we can talk about it on the phone.
Nice. Not everybody will have access to that app. So I'm just curious, what do you eat in a day?
What do I eat in a day? Okay, well, this is pretty easy. Oatmeal for breakfast with lots of berries and flax. And sometimes I get a little crazy and throw some dates in there. I am a coffeeholic. I have to admit, I do drink coffee. It is my final vice, but I do drink a little coffee in the morning. Then filtered coffee. It's a little better than the non-filtered for a cholesterol. For maybe a snack, I'll have some ripe fruit. And then for lunch, I tend to have a salad. You know, it's not easy eating greens sometimes. Sometimes it's not easy. So every day I try to do it. I try to get those greens in, and I kind of force myself to do it. You know, you have a lot of willpower in the morning. And so by, around lunchtime, I try to get a good salad with a non-oil dressing. And then I often have a bean burrito. Bean burrito, or sort of like a bean bowl, kind of Buddha bowl thing. And then for dinner, I have this little ditty, if you'd like to hear it, about what I eat for dinner.
I love it.
All right, here we go. All right, Manja Monday. Go ahead and have some pasta, with some tomato sauce and veggies, or other Mediterranean foods, like hummus and variety of Mediterranean type foods. Okay, Taco Tuesday. So Hispanic, Mexican, burritos and tacos and things like that. Wok Wednesday, or Asian food type Wednesday, where you have, rice and veggies. Or there's Thai food, there's Vietnamese food, and a lot of these types of genre of foods have lots of different vegan options. I kind of put Indian food in there too, but you got to be a little bit careful with Indian and curries and stuff, because they can be kind of high in fat if they use like coconut milk. But I got to admit, Indian food is I find the most flavorful of the types of foods. Okay, Friday I call Fun Food Friday. Fun Food Friday, where I might make like a veggie burger, or we might maybe barbecue some shish kebabs, some veggies on the grill. I call Saturday Social Food Saturday, where kind of picnic foods, or you make a casserole. And then Sunday is my favorite. Soup or bowl Sunday. So
I love it. Soup or bowl.
Soup or bowl Sunday. Okay, what you want to do is Super Bowl Sunday is you are meal planning. You're going to make a big minestrone soup. You're going to make a big lentil soup, or a lentil loaf, or a shepherd's pie with lentils or something, so that you can have a vegan chili. You can have this throughout the week. And so you can have it with your salad at lunch. It's a no-brainer.
That is very cool. You mind taking a couple of questions from the live chat?
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. First one from Stacy. Do you take Medicaid? You said you took Medicare, but I guess Medicaid is different.
I am so sorry. I do not take Medicaid at this time.
Okay. Thank you for that. And here's a question about triglycerides from Anne. Can you comment on what to eat to lower triglycerides and portions of former T2 med-free?
The first part of the question, triglycerides, you can up your triglycerides on accident by eating a lot of free sugars. So, sodas and things like that. In general, once you go on the whole food plant-based diet, we try to eliminate those. I sort of have this wonder, and I honestly don't know if this is evidence-based, but if you are sort of not at a steady weight, if that has an effect on your triglycerides. But another big thing is the glycemic index and glycemic load. You need to switch more to the whole grains. Brenda Davis has this amazing chart about she's a dietitian. She has an amazing chart about the whole grain hierarchy, which I just love. And so instead of eating things that are on low end of the whole grain hierarchy, like puffed wheat and puffed corn and popcorn and stuff like that, and crackers and whole flour, in flours, you're going to want to eat higher up, the undisturbed grains. These are going to be lower in the glycemic index, beans, and they're going to, in the end, not raise your triglycerides as much. However, triglycerides, we put a lot of, there's a lot of stock or a lot of worry about triglycerides, when we really, the main culprit we need to be looking at is LDL, and keeping our LDL as low as we can. That is the most problematic one. And so if everything is still cold normal, I might almost overlook this kind of, and just recheck in a little bit later.
Right. Great. Are you a big exerciser yourself?
I try. Honestly, I try, but I cannot claim to be, the A plus 5-star exerciser. But I do a lot because in the Army, we have to maintain a significant amount of fitness. But you will find me doing a lot more exercise when it's time for my physical fitness test. I'll be running. I grew up swimming and surfing on Daytona Beach, and so I'm a water guy. I love being out in the water. And so, we have a pool, I swim. But as a part of the lifestyle principles, exercise is key. And one of the things I like to tell my patients, of course, diet being number one for health, exercise is like mental health medicine. It is like liquid Prozac. If we're meant to move, and it raises our anxiety. And after you've exercised, you're in the moment all of a sudden afterwards, and that sort of afterglow from exercise, the euphoria. And so exercise is a big part of my prescriptions for lifestyle and improved health.
Great. Here's another question about what insurance you take. Jan says, do you take Humana Medicare? I didn't know there was different kinds of Medicare.
I take Humana Military, which is Tricare East. There's Tricare West, which we're working on. I don't take Humana right now. So, the big ones that we're missing right now, and we're working hard. We try to harass Blue Cross Blue Shield, United, and Humana. We're depressed because, it seems like we've worked so hard and we're not getting there. Hold on, we got a message here.
If Medicare is primary, then we can take Humana as a supplement.
Okay, we've got a message from my sponsor, Jennifer. Message from my sponsor. This just in. We do take Medicare if that's their primary, and Humana, if the Humana is the secondary, we can still take them if they're Medicare.
Nice. I saw a question here. Well, this one, I don't know if you'll be able to answer how to clean the silicone muffin tray, but I would probably soak it really well in very, very hot water. Yeah.
Elbow grease, but hey, it's silicone, so you don't need too much of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of brings up the idea of those like little tips and tricks, when you go vegan, and having something like that, silicone tray, silicone mats, those are great.
Yeah. Well, somebody's suggesting push it inside out, and then it would be easier to clean, like push it, so that thing pops out. I think that's a great suggestion. So Jonathan says, what percentage of your practice is diet related versus other primary care issues like DM2, obesity, mental health, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, can you divorce the two? So diet always is my number one recommendation for people in ways that to decrease their blood pressure, to decrease their cholesterol. So I have patients who come to me for all sorts of problems. I have patients who are overweight. I have patients who are underweight. People who've been vegan and have been, getting better and better. I call it twisting the screws and getting, eating less and less oil. And sometimes you get down to a point where it's like your job to try to make sure you're eating enough calories sometimes. And so I have people all across the map, and I meet people where they're at. It's an individual, process. Yeah. I have diabetics. I have patients with cancer. I have all sorts of patients.
Great. Do you, Layla wants to know, do you work with people to get them off levothyroxine?
The short answer is yes, but it doesn't always work. This is a classic, as I go through this and I become plant-based and vegan, it starts to feel like a conspiracy about the way the medicines are so just thrown at patients. And the thyroid is a perfect example. Let's do some labs. Oh, your thyroid's a little bit off. Let's put you on thyroid. Are you tired? Are you fatigued? Are you gaining weight? Are you constipated? If any of those were positive, let's put you on thyroid medicine. So that's what happens. And then you're on basically a lifelong, thyroid treatment. So, doctors don't come at it with malice. They just come at it with like, oh, I can help. I can put them on this and we'll see if it helps. But it's harder to get someone off, because when you go off, your thyroid, your own thyroid has to kick in. And so that can take some time. You can feel bad. And so if people are willing to do it, I'll take them off their thyroid and then retest in 4 to 6 weeks. Now, sometimes their thyroid is burned out and we do the experiment and we find that, they really did need that thyroid hormone. And so in that case, it's unfortunate. But I tried to do a records request to see if antibodies were drawn and see if there was evidence that your thyroid was burnt out before and not just a small little blip on the thyroid.
Nice. There's somebody that's posing as vegan primary care posting. I'm just kidding. I know it's probably your wife. And she said that yesterday you had vegan pho and lentil soup for lunch.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Yep. Suzanne is saying he would be an amazing doctor. And Catherine said her son went to college in another state and was able to keep you as his doctor. That's cool for people that move around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Aren't I lucky? As a family doctor, it's nice to have everyone in the family. And then, hey, you go off to college, you already have a relationship with the doctor and you can, a lot of times people will, let's say their child wants to be vegan and they're not sure if that's healthy or something. So sometimes I'll get a consult like that. And then sometimes it's people will get to know me and then they feel like it's a doctor they can trust. And then they'll assign their children as they go off to college and that kind of thing.
Elizabeth saying, are you able to refer to like specialists that are also vegan? And specifically, she's looking for one for IBS.
Yes, I do. And so if you're a vegan specialist out there, contact me and get listed on my vegan specialty. I have a blog post about finding a vegan specialist. There's also PCRM has Find a Doctor, and I think there's plantbaseddocs.org has a Find a Doctor service. So yes, the biggest problem is finding one in your state, finding one local who has your license in your state, or there's I think plant-based telehealth is another one that does consults and stuff, and they may be adding specialists soon. There's another group called Planted Forward, and they have some specialists. And so it's a little bit of doing your homework or contacting me. I can try to help.
It's never been an easier time to get a vegan doctor.
Right.
Let's see what other questions there are. Mandy says you have great energy. Yeah, you seem like a fun guy.
I do like to eat fungi too.
If this doctor thing doesn't work out, maybe you got a career in comedy. Yeah. Angela says that's an interesting point about triglycerides and steady weight. Oh, do you have a twin that does the same thing and lives in Toronto?
No, I don't, but I guess I need to check that out.
Dina, maybe I do have who it is and we can look them up. I think the doctor looks like Tom Cruise. I don't know about y'all, but
Mission Impossible, vegan. We'll have to, a vegan version.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Okay. I'm thinking about signing up with you, says Zen. My red blood cell count is 6. Could you help me with that?
If you're saying that your red blood cell count is low, unfortunately, I don't see the numbers right in front of me. But you can increase your iron intake. One of the problems with if you're low, if you're anemic, we have to find out why you're anemic. If it's a problem with intake or a menstrual blood loss and that sort of thing, we could deal with that. But the iron supplements that people get prescribed, ferrous sulfate, can be very harsh. It can be constipating, and you have this black kind of tarry stool, and it's no fun. So we look to plant-based iron supplements, and then greens, beans, and grains and seeds, things like pumpkin seeds and stuff, are high in iron, and you're going to want to eat it. You get 6 times more absorption if you're eating it with something that contains vitamin C. So that's a well-known thing. Yes, I can help with that, and I can offer advice and be your health advocate.
Great. Stephanie says, this is my doctor. He's awesome.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. Awesome.
And another viewer saying, can you ever get off medicine for Graves' disease?
I don't think that that you can, honestly. When I deal with folks who have Graves' disease, I do like to bring in specialty care, the endocrinologist. No one is an island, and I don't pretend to know everything. But this brings up the point of, as a primary care doctor, you kind of feel like a traffic cop. If there's other specialists and, oh, this specialist recommended this and this specialist recommended that, and you're kind of making sure that things don't conflict, or how the patient responds to these different things altogether. And it's that's one thing. The other thing is having a doctor who can sort of sanity check stuff. Like, people will come at you with all sorts of supplements and expensive procedures and expensive labs. And I tend to be a minimalist. I try to let the body heal itself. And, if it's hurting your pocketbook, that's a problem too, so only if it makes sense. So I'm something that people can sanity check things with. And so, yeah, but we definitely bring in specialists. I'm not averse to that.
Right. Well, let's see. Stephanie says Catherine says he really does meet everyone where they are. So that's nice.
Yay, Kathy, thank you.
Okay, here's a question from Dina. Is there a safe way to get off low dose candesartan 4 milligrams? I was told to get off it, but every time I do, my blood pressure spikes. I've been whole food plant-based and blood pressure is 115/78 on the meds. Do I need to give it time?
Well, ideally, if you have high blood pressure, we try to get you with food to a better place. And so the number one thing I recommend for all my patients, especially since the advent of telemedicine, is to have your own blood pressure cuff, your own vital signs. So you're really taking your health into your own hands. And there's a little bit of white coat syndrome, when you drive in the stress and the traffic and you go and you're worried about missing your appointment and then you're waiting, and that there's a white coat syndrome that happens just from the stress of getting to an appointment. So having this blood pressure cuff at home can let you know what your blood pressure really is in sort of your natural environment. So the biggest problem with coming off medicines, and we experiment with this with all my patients trying to come off their medicines, is that these once a day pills, they take 4 to 5 days to wash out of your system. So when you first start, you might think, oh my gosh, I'm good, but then 4 or 5 days comes along and it's back, and you feel like, oh my gosh, the curse of blood pressure. So we look to that. So I don't try to wean people off unless they're, in low. They're taking the meds and they're low now. It seems a reasonable time to come off. If you're feeling dizzy from your blood pressure medicine, then you're probably overtreated. So this is a time to come off. Maybe we half the medicine and then come off. Either way, you can do your own monitoring and that kind of thing.
Great, thank you. And Linda says, where are you located, and can people also see you in person?
Yes, people can also see me in person, and it's been such a treat because people will come from all over. In the Tampa area, it's called Pinellas Park, just north of St. Petersburg. And so one day a week, by popular demand, I was, my patients were like, look, we want to see you in person, not only on telemedicine. So we did, one of my classmates in Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, one of my medical school classmates opened up an office for me to come in one day a week in this area. And so I've had patients come from all around, and it's really a good thing. We have a message. Florida. Yeah, so that's in Florida. So patients from all around Florida have come and seen me, and it's been an honor.
That's great. All right, here's a question about animal products. Do they increase the body's acidity?
Yes. So one of the cool things, I always heard about this. Oh, there's the alkaline and the, acid and the alkaline. And, before I was really into this, I kind of thought it was a little bit a hogwash. I thought, oh man, acid, your body's attuned, the body can deal with this. But it turns out that foods have, just like they have calories and they have protein and they have fat, they have an acid load score called the Prowl score. And this is on the myfooddata.com, the US I don't know if it's USDA or something, they put up these, all the nutrient facts about the different foods. It's called a PRAL score, PRAL, protein, renal acid load, potentially. I think that's what it might mean. And so generally foods that are high in animal proteins have higher PRAL score, acid load score. And so this is when they get into your body, they create an acidosis that your body has to buffer. I was just explaining it today, sort of like if you eat something, your stomach is acidic, you take Tums. Tums is like a calcium type buffer but your body has its own Tums in the bones for blood. And what it does is it just pulls some calcium out of the bones to buffer the acid loads. But you get problems. You get kidney stones as you're excreting your calcium. And you get osteoporosis of a lifelong time of doing that. And so, yes, absolutely, this PRAL score. Now, even beans have a little bit of PRAL score, but things like fruits and vegetables are negative PRAL. So they're alkalizing.
Nice. Thank you. And so the person saying, then how come vinegar is good? Because vinegar is acidic. I know Dr. Greger recommends 2 teaspoons at every meal.
Yes. I honestly don't know the PRAL score of vinegar, but I don't think that it has a very high PRAL score, believe it or not. And I guess I can't explain that, but this is like one of those things where you find that the benefits outweigh that kind of risk. I kind of worry about vinegar too, like sort of acidic on your teeth and this kind of, certainly if you're drinking vinegar, the studies and stuff where they test apple cider vinegar and stuff like that, what they do is they put, say, 2 tablespoons in a glass of water or a glass of juice or something to help you make it palatable enough to go down. But yeah, so one of the 21 tweaks with Dr. Greger from his book, How Not to Die, is vinegar. And vinegar raises or activates this enzyme, cyclic AMPK.
AMPK, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I just interviewed him about that yesterday for the weight loss summit. It's on my mind now, AMPK.
Yeah. So, I mean, he sort of brought that concept out to me. I love Dr. Greger. I mean, this guy is Superman. I love this. And what that does is it energizes the cyclic AMPK to burn fat. You burn fat. It's like throwing a log on the fire, and so calories are burned. So instead of shivering and using that to warm your body, babies use this function to warm themselves, this cyclic AMPK and the visceral fat.
Well, I love vinegar and I don't want anybody taking it away from me because when you don't eat oil, and especially me, I don't eat nuts. I mean, I got to have something on my salad, and I love balsamic vinegar. And you, Dr. Harrington, are going to get 2 free bottles just for being on the show.
Oh my gosh. I might have to do my dad dancing.
You're funny.
I have to do my dad dancing. No, this is awesome. I love balsamic vinegars. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Somebody's asking how they get in touch with you. I mean, we put everything in the show notes. I'm just not looking at them right now.
Yeah, if you go to veganprimarycare.com, my phone number and fax number and contact is all there. Email at veganprimarycare.com. That's our email address. Email.
You know what I admire about you is you weren't afraid to use the V word. Most of it's plant-based. And with all due respect, I hate the word plant-based because it doesn't mean I'm plant exclusive, and that's what vegan is.
I love that you mentioned this, Chef AJ, because I was thinking about that when I first came out. And you want to go all the way. Do we really want animal suffering for all the other various reasons? And the answer is no. So just own it. Don't be scared. Just doing that kind of will cause the conversation. And I didn't honestly switch initially for the animals, but it wasn't long that I became an ethical vegan when I realized, oh my gosh, we don't need to be eating animals for protein. And, why are we causing animal suffering? Why are we causing such harm to our environment needlessly? And so, and then with this pandemic, Dr. McDougall has this slide where it shows the world and the health and the animal suffering and then the pandemics, and it's all interrelated. And so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. How long have you been doing this? And what were you doing before? I mean, you were working at a specific Army base or?
Yeah, so I was in the Army active duty till 2015. And so I went all over. I served all sorts of, elite units and different things and Army families. And then when I moved back to Tampa, I worked for Tampa General for a while, did, family medicine with them. And then I guess sort of how I came to telemedicine is I worked for a big teledoc competitor called American Well. And they helped me get a bunch of licenses. And I worked telemedicine for a while and I learned the benefit. But what was happening was that people would get a cough or a cold and they would come on and I would talk with them. And I just didn't feel like I was really serving my mission in life. Because I would be like, they would be like, well, I stubbed my toe. And I would be like, well, you should be on the plant-based diet. I was really, and then I'm like, what am I doing? I just need to stop this business and create my own plant-based and vegan.
Well, you certainly have fans watching. A couple of people are saying that you're a great dancer. You're cute.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'll take that. I'll take all the, anything I can get.
All right. Here's a question from Punky and Plants. I love the name. How can we improve sluggish bowels? One thing I would say is sign up for the free GI Health Summit that I'm hosting in a couple of weeks. But I would say exercise. That's going to be my guess, because I find a lot of people that are constipated really don't exercise.
Yeah. I mean, I love talking about bowel movements and poop. It's like one of my favorite talks. I mean, we should be having large bowel movements every day. In the morning, you kind of should wake up and it should be, prime poop time, and so one of the problems about when people are trying to lose weight, they think they need to limit their portions and this. No, that's not what you got to do. You got to eat voluminous amount of low calorie food, and the intestines want you to have a bulk of feces. And I love the toothpaste tube analogy. If the stool is very bulky, imagine a toothpaste tube that's full. You put a little squeeze on it, you get some action, you get some toothpaste release. But imagine if the toothpaste tube has been all squeezed out, you're really pressing in and everything. So, and then the longer the stool stays in there, the harder it gets, because the colon's job is to remove water from the stool. So you really want to increase your volume. And then, you've heard how prune juice will cause you to have looser stool. Basically fruit, increase, up your numbers on your fruit. You got to do that. And then if you're still having problems, you can do the osmotic laxatives, Max. Miralax. That's a helpful and gentle over-the-counter laxative that you could try. But basically, you got to increase your food intake, whole grains, and your fruit, and you should be having a large bowel movement in the morning. I do have kind of a joke about this, in that the poop emoji, probably made in Japan. I haven't verified this, but emojis sound like Japanese to me. Was that it was not shaped like a torpedo. It was shaped like a pile. It was probably because plant-based folks created the poop emoji.
That is funny. Let's see if we have any questions. I'm eating so much fruit, no issues here. That was from somebody else. Jerry says, I bet you're an awesome dad.
I try. I mean, don't make me cry, okay? But I would like to think that I'm an awesome dad.
Yep, that's so nice. You have 2 kids?
2 kids, a boy and a girl. I'm lucky.
That's great. Well, you have a dog. That's why I love that.
Yes, Banjo.
It's a cute name. Yep. Guys, have any more questions? Well, gosh, I mean, if I didn't already have an awesome lifestyle medicine doctor that does care, what I'm lucky is that he's also like in person, like you. So for people that live in Florida, that's kind of cool that they can see you in person. And then when they don't feel like coming in, do a virtual.
Yeah. I think one of my strengths really is that people feel, in general, they feel pretty comfortable talking to me. And I know I've been droning on and on this visit, but I listen to people, and I kind of feel like I'm a mini psychologist, because you're always trying to figure out what motivates people to live a healthy lifestyle. And as a family doc and soon to be lifestyle medicine board certified doctor, that's kind of our bread and butter.
Nice. Bread and vegan butter.
That's true. That's true. I need to get that one out. Get rid of that one.
Let's see. Do you worry about very low HDL?
I don't worry about low HDL if you also have very low LDL. And the thing that's got me, I used to be really concerned about that. And I would say, oh, you got to up your exercise. Back in the day, people were taking niacin and drinking wine for this, but those are no longer recommendations. They even started to invent an experimental medicine that would increase HDL. It did not improve mortality, and they had side effects and things. So in the end, I've become a believer of like, not worry so much about your HDL, really focus on that LDL, trying to get it down.
Right. Because the way it was explained to me is people worry about things, but when you eat a healthy diet, like something about one of them is garbage trucks, but when you don't have garbage, you don't need as many garbage trucks.
Good point. Good point. I love the analogies because that's what sticks with you, right?
Yeah, even though I don't know if that was correct, but I remember, I don't worry about that, because, it's funny because I've even had on the show, a lot of the really well-known plant-based doctors that have just naturally high numbers, and they say they don't worry about it if you're eating the diet. That's the most important thing, that you're eating the food.
Yeah. In medical school, a lot of times, or in family practice residency, the old wise ones would say, don't just treat a number. Don't just treat a number, treat the patient. And so in this scenario, if you're not, folks are eating animal proteins that are cooked, they get the oxidized cholesterol, and it's way more problematic. There's way more inflammation going on and laying down, clogging the pipes. So one of the big problems I have with my patients is that even though they're vegan, they may still have high cholesterol. And this is, one of my signature talks is vegan, still sick. Now what? What do you do? So we work on tips and tricks to decrease your saturated fat and up your fiber intake. And there are a few supplements that you can take, like amla powder or plant sterols, to try to get it down.
Yep. Do you have a favorite vegan film or book that you like to recommend to your patients?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, I call the folks, vegan royalty, the vegan royalty docs. I would consider you vegan royalty, Chef AJ. But Forks Over Knives is a thing that turned me. And so I thought that was really good. Game changers. If you have someone in your family who's really, worried that protein is, they need animal protein or something, give them the Game Changers movie. Those are great. But any of the vegan doctors or the, Dr. Furman, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Greger, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Clapper, Dean Ornish, Dr. Esselstyn, any of their books, they're amazing.
Well, I may not be vegan royalty, but I'm definitely this.
Oh, you're an old vegan. Old vegan. Oh, you don't look old. You don't look old. That's for sure.
Almost 62. I could be your mother, probably.
All right. You're sweet.
So Clara says she met you last week at the Naples Veg Festival.
All right. Thanks for joining in.
Yep. And a lot of people are saying great personality. Here's one. This is a kind of a general one, because I know you can't give real personal medical advice to people that aren't your patients. But Tammy says, do you recommend any supplements besides B12 and D3?
I don't recommend other supplements, except if you have specific deficiencies, iodine, for instance, if you're not getting your C vegetables, or if people are iron deficient and they've attempted food, and there are plant-based iron supplements. The name is escaping me, but they're liquids. And then so B12 and D3 are imperative. You got to have those. The kind of the debate lately over the last couple of years has been the omega-3s. I currently don't recommend additional omega-3s. I just recommend people get it in the whole food form. Yeah. So Dr. Clapper has kind of convinced me about that, what are we doing? We might be driving a process by providing the long chain omega-3s at the end of the chain, causing problems. So I've had patients that are taking a supplement for this and a supplement for that. And you walk out of GNC with $300 worth of supplements piled up to here, and you can get fearful. you can worry that you're not getting enough selenium and enough this and enough that. And before you know it, you're taking so many supplements that it causes liver problems. And so I've had patients with, they call it transaminitis, the liver inflammation, and they stopped their supplements and it got better. So it is frustrating because sometimes I'll get patients and I feel like they've kind of been led astray. And then they see me and I'm like, no, come off all this, come off all that. And sometimes it can be almost, rough, but I do review people's supplements and try to figure out what makes the most sense. And we go from there.
Yeah, I know Dr. McDougall always says supplements, expensive urine.
Well, yep, there you go.
Leslie says, I cannot find a vegan primary care doctor north of Boston. Well, you have now, because as long as you live in 39 of the 52 states, it can be your primary.
Yes, I currently have a license in Massachusetts. So
I didn't notice when I was looking, because I had to have to review the slides, but when you showed the map, was Alaska and Hawaii one of the states that you were or weren't?
I do have license in Alaska and Hawaii.
That's cool. I love those two states. I'm not that I'm going anywhere, but those are two of my favorite states. Pam says, Dr. Harrington is working with me to get my cholesterol down. He's great.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Dina's saying, are there any plant sterols you recommend?
So a lot of companies are coming out with the plant sterols, and they charge a lot. The brand that I like is the Blue Bonnet plant sterols. That was the one that was in the studies, I believe, for the portfolio diet developed out of Toronto. The plant sterols, the Blue Bonnet, they come in 500s. You kind of space them out the day, so you get a total of 2,000. So maybe 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 2 at lunch, 1 at dinner, and they seem reasonably priced. And but Nature Made has one, and there are some other versions. But I recommend the Blue Bonnet one.
Blue Bonnet wasn't that a kind of margarine back in the day?
Yes, it used to be.
That is so funny. There was a commercial, I can't even remember, but I do remember that somehow.
Yeah.
Let's see, Blue Bonnet. You learn something new every day. Blue Bonnet. Oh, everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it. That was the commercial. Everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it. I better not sing, because then you get a copyright infringement. Anytime you have a show. And Bulent, who's watching, I got one of those because he sang on the show. So you got to be careful with.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't want to do that.
You can dance, because I don't think you can copyright a dance. You can't.
Yeah. So the portfolio diet includes 1 serving of oatmeal, 2 servings of beans, and also those plant sterols, but you can get it from other slimy type foods like okra and eggplant and stuff like that. What it does is cholesterol is a big component of the bile system. And the cholesterol recycling program is the body uses that to absorb fats, but then it reabsorbs the cholesterol and bile. So if you take these soluble fibers, it holds on to those bile salts and you pass them. So
I hate slimy food, though. The only way I like okra is like if it's air fried. I know. And I heard that that's what was good about it, was the slimy part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there may be a component of that with flax and chia. There might be some sort of binding there. You get a little bit of.
I just hate it. I don't even like moist food. I like everything dry. I'm just so.
Oh man. Yeah, well, then you got to drink a lot of water. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely.
God, I'm thirsty.
I can't speak today. Tamara and Simone say hi. They say that you're their doctor.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for being on.
Yeah, you must have put out the word. People are asking about duckweed. I don't know anything about that.
I'd have to look that up. I'm sorry. I'm not prepared for the duckweed thing, but I wanted to bring up purslane.
I love purslane. It's so good.
Oh my God. In a former life, I used to joke that I was the free range vegan, and I would find purslane, creeping in between our cracks on the driveway and all these things. And I would be like, oh my God, look, it's a weed that should be invading our, invasive weed that should be invading our salads. Really high in omega-3s. And I love the crunch, right? It tastes great. And so I was really impressed that you were a purslane fan.
Yeah, I never heard about purslane. And I was at Vegetarian Summerfest many years ago, and a doctor named Dr. Carrie Saunders was speaking about a lecture about omega-3 fatty acids. And she was saying, well, for people, because, there are people that are allergic to nuts and seeds. I know people that are, one of my friend's sons, allergic to all of them. He said, this is the very highest source of plant that's not a nut or a seed omega-3 fatty acids. So since I won't eat nuts and seeds, I looked into it, and it's very good, and it's very cheap. Like 4 bunches are like $1. It's ridiculous how cheap it is.
Oh my gosh, purslane is an invasive weed. It really is. And it grows. And you can just, they make these little pods that burst, these little black seeds, and you can throw it in your yard and it just grows. It's just like magic. And you'll have a lifetime supply of purslane. It's amazing.
I live in the desert. Can I grow it here? Like, because I mean,
Yes.
when you say yard, my yard is not like a yard. It's like, I don't know if you know about deserts. Like,
Well, yeah, I lived in Utah for a while.
Well, I mean, we I don't even think we have dirt here. It's like everything is sand. So I'm thinking, could I grow it? Because that would be very cool to grow my own instead of having to buy it.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, there's a lot of sun, so as long as it's irrigated, you can grow it, robust. I lived in Yuma. They grew a bunch of green leafy vegetables down there. And so, yeah, you'd have to irrigate it, or you could get one of those tower gardens, or these the hydroponics big. I've got a tower garden. I love it. Now I've hit this sort of critical mass now with my little sprouts were growing out of my the tower garden. And now they've hit this critical mass. So where I can cut things off and it's enough for me to eat and anybody else in my family wants. And it grows more by the time I want more. It's really fun. So that's one of the cool things, is stuff called the tower gardens and other hydroponic type greens you can grow.
Right. I know the answer to this question only because I do summits. That's like my main job. This is my fun job. And I just literally interviewed 2 doctors on NAFLD, but Rebecca says, my sister just got diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver. Recommendation for resources to help it, learn about it, and how a plant-based diet can help. Not only can help it, it reversed it. Hannah Kalyova of PCRM researched that. They did a study and it reversed it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is when you think about the way, when the body has to store fat, it has subcutaneous tissue, it has places to store, but after a while, it's like, your body is dealing with this fat and it's shoving it here, it's shoving it there. It's marbling your muscles. Like when you see, cow meat that's marbled, it's like the cow had to store fat where it didn't really want to store it. Marbled the meat, so your muscles get marbled, and your organs, the visceral fat, and they get filled with fat. The fat literally gets stuffed places. And so as you lose weight, the fat gets reduced, and the body cleans the closet. And so you can reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that's the primary goal. Primary goal is a diet that's low in fat and basically low calorie, low fat diet.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how many people have it and how many children are getting diagnosed with it from all the fructose and sugary drinks. And this has been the week where I've been learning about it. So it's kind of cool. Hey, just for fun, what are you having for Thanksgiving dinner? Do you know?
Okay, so my extended family is not vegan. And so we go to their house, but they have taken they take good steps to help me, where if they make a big thing of mashed potatoes, they separate the potatoes out. And if they're cooking vegetables on the side, I'm a big side dish kind of guy. I have a big side dish.
I mean, but that's what Thanksgiving is. This is what I don't understand, except for the poor dead turkey.
Yeah.
Isn't Thanksgiving all about the sides anyway?
Right. So it's really, I mean, I'm like, I'm like the Matrix. I'm always trying to avoid, like the bullets of conflict. And I'm just trying to like get along and make my way in the world today. And so if I go to a restaurant or whatever, I'm just, I get the sides, say no oil, and all this, it's easy. It's doable. It's doable. And that's the way I get along. If I have folks who are really adamant about this, just give me the sides and don't put no butter in it and that sort of thing.
Well, you're so easygoing. I'm kind of militant. I don't get invited very much. I don't get invited very many places.
Yeah.
No, but that's good. That's a great way of being. And you seem like you have a great personality. I'm sure you have a great bedside manner, whether virtually or in person. And like I said, if I didn't have already a lifestyle medicine doctor, I really would go to you. But I love my doctor, Dr. Wayne Dysinger. He was actually started at Loma Linda, the lifestyle medicine thing there. I think he was one of the founders of ACLM actually. So, you know,
Wow,
but
that's
I really
impressive.
am a fan of people getting a vegan doctor if they're vegan. I mean, even if they're not vegan, do you have any non-vegan patients? Because like, would a non-vegan person go to vegan primary care?
I know it kind of self-selects. But that's one of the things I tell people, you know, I'm very non-judgmental in terms of, I wouldn't kick a patient out if they were smoking, you know, so it's the same kind of thing.
Unless they were smoking in your office.
Yeah, right. But it's kind of thing. I try to support people along and meet people where they're at. So I have vegetarians and I have people who are pescatarians and everything. And, you know, of course, I'm going to tell them that the side effects of eating these types of foods. But, you know, I want people to come to me. Otherwise you can't help change people's behavior if they come to you and then you're like, you know, what are you doing? You know? So I try to help people along, you know. Go ahead.
Really still smoke? I mean, like, do they still smoke? That's so bizarre to me.
Well, you know, you will get people who smoke but you still have a lot of people who vape, and then marijuana is becoming big.
Oh my God, vaping is not good. And neither is marijuana. I mean, Dr. Greger just had a thing about people think that pot is good, but I don't think so.
I don't recommend any kind of something that's going to alter your mental status. If you're, you know, have the munchies, and, you know, a lot of my patients are be like, you know, I could be so skinny, but I get the munchies every night because I'm smoking marijuana. You know, I'm like, whoa, let's think about this. Marijuana, munchies, you know, like, so anything that alters your mental status and makes you not as rational, you're going to potentially slip up and gain weight.
Yeah. And that a lot of people, that's what they want is weight loss, and a plant-based diet can work beautifully if it's a low calorie density one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you sure seem like a really fun, nice doctor. So what can I tell you? I'm glad to have met you, and I'll keep you in mind when people are asking for referrals. And I think it's so great that you guys are sprouting up all this vegan telemedicine. It's fantastic. And that's one good thing about the pandemic, is that it brought this to the forefront, that medicine can be done virtually. I mean, obviously you can't, you know, heal, you know, you can't do surgery virtually. I wish we could go to our dentist virtually. Nothing I dislike more than going to the dentist, you know. But
me too.
Yeah, that's my least favorite thing. But yeah, there's a lot that can be done, you know, where you don't actually have to see or touch them, you know. Oh, okay. This is a fun question. I love you, Mandy. You are just like she's like, if I had a super fan, it would be her. She's amazing. Will you do my next class with me? I do stand-up comedy. I'm not that good, but I take classes and I perform like a few times a year. And she's saying you should be in the class with me. It's virtual.
Hey, yeah, if you want me to, I'm versatile.
Well, no, because I think you have a good, I think you could probably do it. You know, I mean, I think you have the right, you know, I think,
wow,
I think you do it. I think you'd be able to do it well, is what I think was what she's sensing in you, because the teacher, he doesn't mollycoddle you, but he makes sure that you're going to be good before you perform. Like, he doesn't let you out there if you're, you know, if you're going to suck.
Well, it would be my honor. That would be so cool.
That would be really, really fun. I've been trying to actually, you know, it's funny because I have a life outside of here, you know, and I do things, and I two of the plant-based doctors are going to be taking a voiceover class with me on the Sunday. So that's going to be really fun.
I do have a vegan joke here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you miss most about being vegan? My friends.
That is hilarious. My whole set was just about vegan. I wish you had given me that joke before Sunday at 5, because that is hilarious. I love that. That's great. Well, anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you have anything else you want to tell people, we did put everything in the show notes that you wrote, so they can get in touch with you that way.
All right. I just wanted to say, hey, thanks, Chef AJ, for having me on. You know, we're getting the word out. There's more and more vegan doctors. One day, all doctors will be vegan. Until then, you know, till they get the message, you know, come seek one of us out, one of the vegan doctors. I'm here for you here at Vegan Primary Care. Thank you so much, Chef AJ.
Right. Well, yeah, Mandy's saying if you don't join the class, I get to steal that joke.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, we'd hope everybody would be vegan. That's if the planet is still there in a few years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Harrington. It was such a pleasure meeting you.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we have a success story from Surin Nathan, who reversed his type 2 diabetes with a plant-based diet. And he's going to show us some of the recipes that made that possible. I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving, and I will get those 2 samples of vinegar to you as soon as you tell me which flavors you want.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Take care,
Awesome.
Dr.